All right, everyone. Welcome to session number 2 of the storytelling track in day 1 of Present to Succeed 2022. A lot of numbers obviously here. I hope that you enjoyed the first session. Yeah, that's my name tag, Boris, all right? And today with us as the second session, we have someone that was actually part of our podcast. I personally know him from his website, which is mannerofspeaking.com. If you don't know that website, I personally have been following that one for, I would say, at least 7 or 8 years. Even back then when I was an IT person, I was reading John's website. So our next guest is John Zimmer. John, welcome to Present to Succeed 2022. And I can speak for you a lot, but I think it's better for you to take the stage and tell us a little bit more in the next 40 minutes of how should everyone here who are business people from, as you probably saw in the first session, business people from all over the globe, how should they approach the preparation process of their presentation? The stage is yours.
Thanks very much, Boris. All battles are won before they are fought. These are the words of the ancient Chinese philosopher and military strategist Sun Tzu in his classic book, The Art of Warfare. If you read this book, you will know that the majority of the pages are not about the actual battle, but about what happens before the battle, about all of the preparation that is necessary in order for a military chief to achieve success. Now, I am not in any way suggesting that public speaking should be seen as a battle. Far from it. It is a privilege and it is an opportunity. But what I am saying is that if you are well prepared, if you have everything set beforehand, you are in a much better position to make a powerful impact with your speeches and your presentations. Because for me, preparation is the foundation of any good speech or presentation. I like very much the metaphor of an iceberg. You may be familiar with the expression, the tip of the iceberg. The tip, the part that we can see, is a very small part of the whole iceberg. Most of the iceberg is hidden under the water. That's why they're so dangerous. The tip of the iceberg is a small part of something much bigger. And I like this as a metaphor because for me, the tip of the iceberg, that's like the presentation. That's what the audience sees. But what they don't see is all of the preparation that went into making it such a great presentation. Now, in an ideal world, you would have days, weeks, maybe even months to work on a presentation. In a really ideal world, the boss would say, take everything else on your desk, put it aside, your colleagues will handle that. I want you to focus on this presentation. Unfortunately, life's not like that. Usually it's Tuesday afternoon, you have a presentation on Friday, and you also have 3 reports to file by the end of the week. So you don't have a lot of time. What I want to share with you in our session today is a very simple but powerful 4-step process that I use every time I have a speech or a presentation to deliver. And what I promise you is that if you start doing this exercise as the very first thing, before you start working on your openings and the content and the conclusion, before you start adding stories like we heard from Florian, which are hugely important, before you start designing those PowerPoint slides, if you do this exercise first, I promise you that it's going to help you get the ideas clear in your head. And when things are clear in your head, they are almost invariably a success when you walk onto that stage, in person or virtual. To do this exercise, you have to start by doing something that might seem counterintuitive. You have to turn the computer off. Not now, you're going to give Boris a heart attack if you do. But when you're doing this exercise, you turn the computer off. Too many people make the mistake of turning on PowerPoint when they have a presentation, and they start typing away. And what does PowerPoint do? It spits out bullet points. And you get to the bottom of that first slide, and what does PowerPoint do again? Well, it magically shrinks the font, and you think, hey, I've got more space. I can add more. And so we see slide after slide after slide of text, text, text. Have you seen presentations like that before? I'm guessing a lot, if not all of you have at some point or another. I like PowerPoint or Keynote for the Mac. I like the technology. I use it all the time. But technology, PowerPoint, it is a tool. And like any tool, you need to use the right tool for the right job in the right way at the right moment. Now is not the time. Now is the time for us to go back to good old-fashioned pen and paper. And what I invited you to do in the description for this event is to come to this session with a specific presentation or speech in mind, because we're going to work on it together over the course of the next 40 minutes or so. So grab a sheet of paper, a couple sheets of paper and a pen. And what I want you to do is think about a presentation or a speech. It could be something you're working on currently for work. It could be something aspirational, something you'd like to give in the future. It might even be a speech or a presentation you already gave in the past, and perhaps you'd like to give it again, or maybe improve on it. We're going to use that as the basis for this exercise. Like I said, 4-step process. What's it all about? The whole process is all about having what I like to call eagle vision. Eagle vision. For me, the eagle's eye is a marvel of nature. An eagle can fly high in the sky and it can survey a huge amount of land or sea, but an eagle can see a fish or a rabbit at a distance of 3 kilometers. Now, to put that in perspective, if you or I had eagle vision, we could stand on the 10th floor of a building, look down, and see an ant crawling across the pavement. That's how powerful the eagle's eye is. But for me, what's even more fascinating is that as the eagle dives in to catch the rabbit or the fish, the muscles in its eye contract and the eye actually changes shape so that the eagle always has this rabbit or fish in constant focus as it's approaching. And for me, this is what public speaking is. It's this constant back and forth between big picture, laser focus, big picture, laser focus. I believe in this idea so much that I've actually incorporated the eagle and its eye in the logo on my website. So it's all about having this eagle vision. 4-step process. Let's look at the different steps. Step number 1, you want to survey the landscape, the speaking landscape. The eagle has to survey the territory to look for its food. You can do the same thing, metaphorically, with any speech or presentation that you have. For this step, what you do, first thing, you draw a triangle on a sheet of paper. And at the 3 corners of the triangle, you write what I consider to be the 3 cornerstones of any speaking situation. What I'd like you to do now in the chat is write down, what do you think, you can put down 1, 2, or 3, what do you think are the 3 fundamental things that must be present in order for there to be a speech or a presentation? And Boris, if you can give me a hand just reading out some of the ideas.
Well, for sure. However, let's wait for, let's say 15 to 20 seconds so that the answers start appearing in our chat. In our chat. I'm by the way, also curious to see what people will put in here. I have some ideas, but let's see whether or not that is what's going to happen. Let's see.
Each corner is just one word. Just one word.
Okay, each corner is just one word. Okay, still no answers. Probably they're now about to hear your question. It is that level of delay because of, just as I explained also to Foreign, just how technology works. It is what it is.
Okay.
So let's see.
And we're looking at the right chat this time.
Yeah, I am in the right chat. You obviously was in the first session, all right? Yeah, that was a very lame mistake. You know, this is one of those.
It happened.
Let's forget about it and not talk about it more. Anyway, even the people in the studio are laughing to this one. It's crazy, you know. So still waiting for some answers here. Let's give it a little bit more time. Okay, so the 3 things that you think should be in each and every angle.
No, 3 things. Yeah, 3 things that must be present for there to be a speech or a presentation.
All right. is it my chat that's down here, or is it because of something else? Okay, so let's see. The tablet is like showing some other comments. Okay, so well, I have it. I have them. Wait. Here we have it. So okay, so we have ethos, logos, pathos. We have Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We have problem, solution, and action. We have content, design, and delivery. We have audience, message, and a speaker. Jesus, there are so many. My tablet cannot catch up. Yeah, I'm stopping.
They're all great, but it is the last one that I'm thinking of. Logos, ethos, pathos. That's hugely important, but not at this stage. Who was it who said speaker, subject, audience?
What's that? Can you repeat that question?
Whoever said speaker, subject, audience, that's exactly what I'm thinking of at this stage of the process. So at the three corners of the triangle, what you do is you write, of course, your name, what you're talking about, and who the audience is. And then what you do on this sheet of paper is you spend a little bit of time thinking about the three relationships on this page. So speaker and subject. Why are you speaking about this subject? Why have you been invited? What is your relationship to the subject? Are there any gaps in your knowledge that you might need to fill before you speak? Questions like that. So you write those on this side of the triangle. Then down at the bottom, speaker, a subject, and audience. What is the audience's relationship with the subject? Do they know anything about it? Do they know nothing? Do they like it? Do they not like it? Are they afraid of it? Are they resistant? How is the subject related to the audience? And then the final side, speaker and audience. What is your relationship to the audience? Do you know them? Do they know you? Are you strangers? Do they like you? Do they not like you? Have they had previous dealings with you? Do you have authority over the audience? When Steve Jobs spoke to the employees at Apple, speaker had authority over the audience. If you're making a presentation to your company's board of directors, audience has authority over you. So what is your relationship to the audience? So the page is going to start getting pretty messy. It's going to fill up with a lot of ideas, and that's great. That's what you want. Once you've done that, you then have to add in a fourth element. And the fourth element is the situation. What is the situation? What is the context in which this presentation is taking place? Let's go back to the eagle metaphor for a moment. Eagle has its nest. Eagle has to fly out every day to get food to feed its babies. Some days it's beautiful and sunny. Some days it's like it is today in Geneva, rainy and cold. Some days it's windy, some days it's stormy, but the eagle always has to go out. So what is the context in which this presentation is taking place? Are these good times? Are these bad times? Are these challenging times? What happens if it goes well for you? What happens if it goes well for the audience? What's at stake? This is the first step in the process. And this first step is designed to get you to do something that most people don't do. It's designed to get you to step back and think big picture. Too many people make the mistake of going too quickly into the details, and you must resist that. You've got to step back first, think big picture. So that's step number one. Step number two is all about the objective. The objective. What is your objective for this presentation? What is it you want to have happen? For this step, on another sheet of paper, you write a sentence, and the sentence always begins the same way. When I'm finished speaking, comma, don't forget punctuation. When I'm finished speaking, comma, the audience will what? I don't know. The audience will increase my department's budget by $50,000 next year. The audience will exercise 3 times a week. The audience will eat less trans-saturated fat. I don't know. What is it you want the audience to do? Many times, especially in a business context, people tell me, I just want the audience to know about this topic. And I say, well, that's fine as far as it goes, but when you think about it, how far does that really go? Not very far. I mean, think about your work. How many different things do you need to know? If all I need to do is be aware of something, maybe that's good enough. But the most powerful presentations are the ones where you can actually get the audience to take some kind of an action. You can actually get them to do something. Now, if you want the audience to do something, there's something else you need to factor into the objective. I do a lot of work with startup companies, a program here in Switzerland, and often I'm helping them prepare 5-minute pitches for a beauty contest. And I ask them, what's the objective for these 5 minutes? And so often I hear 500,000 francs, 250,000 francs, 150,000 francs. And I say, what do you think the chances are that the audience is going to give you 500,000 francs after 5 minutes? And that always causes them to think, not very high. And I say, no, the chances are 0. There is a 0% chance I'm giving you 500,000 francs based on 5 minutes. Unless you're on television on a show like Shark Tank, you're not getting 500,000 francs after 5 minutes. So I say, what is a more realistic thing you can ask of the audience? 500,000 francs is the ultimate objective, but what is something you can get before that? And they think, a follow-up meeting? Now we're talking, because this extra little thing when it comes to your objective is a first step. A first step. What is a simple first step you can get the audience to take? And it might not seem like a big thing, but it really is. In the 1960s, there was a fascinating study done in California, in the city of Palo Alto. Researchers went into 5 neighborhoods, and they knocked on the doors of many, many houses in each of these neighborhoods. And they talked to the people about the importance of safe driving. Safe driving. Now, I don't care where you are in the world right now. I don't care what your politics are, your culture, your mother tongue, your religion, your income. I don't know anybody who is actively against safe driving. I think it's one of the few things we can all agree on today in the world. So they talked to the people about safe driving, why it's important. They shared statistics. They got them to sign a petition, and then they went away. 6 months later, they compared traffic accident statistics in each of the 5 neighborhoods with what they had been previously. In 4 of the neighborhoods, nothing had changed. Accidents were as high as they had ever been. But in the 5th neighborhood, accidents were way, way down. Why? What was so special about this 5th neighborhood? Well, in the first 4, at the end of the interview, the researchers, they asked the people, would you be willing to have a big sign, big billboard type sign put on your front lawn promoting safe driving? Not surprisingly, most people said, no, thank you. I will sign your petition. I don't want that thing on my yard. No problem. In the 5th neighborhood, at the very end, they said, would you be willing to have a small label put on your mailbox promoting safe driving? A much smaller request. Many more people said, sure, why not? The labels go up. A week or 10 days later, different people went to the houses with the labels. Knock, knock. Hey, we saw the labels on your mailbox. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your support for this initiative. Listen, you've got the label up. Would you be willing to do something a little bigger, like maybe a big billboard type sign on your front lawn? so many more of those people said yes. And the reason is because, the psychologist concluded, they had already taken this first step. And so psychologically for them, going from a label to a big sign on the yard wasn't that big of a step. And it was consistent with something they'd already done. So how can you apply this in your speeches and presentations? One way, I'll share one technique that I've used with a few clients already, is if you have slides, maybe you're talking about whatever topic, at the end, as you're getting towards the end of the slide presentation, what I've done is we've had a slide with a big QR code, and the speaker says, now, if you take a picture of this QR code, you'll go to a page on our website where you can download a PDF with more information. And once my client had invited me to attend his presentation, about 150 people in the auditorium. When he got to this slide, put it up, he invited the audience to take a picture. 150 people, I kid you not, cell phones up, click. The speaker got the audience to take this first step. Does it mean that all 150 are going to become clients? Of course not. But statistically, there's a greater chance that at least some of them are going to go further in the process. And this study that they did in the 1960s in Palo Alto, it has been repeated in many countries over the decades, always with the same kind of result. This is the power of a first step. So take a moment on your sheet and think about this speech or presentation. I'll give you a minute. Write out what it is you want the audience to do. When I'm finished speaking, the audience will. And then try and think of a simple first step you can get them to take.
All right. So let's see what people will put in the chat for this one. That's, by the way, also one of the. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say they don't have to put this in the chat. They can't. They're more than welcome to share if they like, but it's really more I'm thinking for them, depending on what they're talking about. But sure, they can share if they like.
I would be very curious for myself to see people putting something in the chat related to your question and the answer of that question, because this is also one of the things that we push our clients to do. And so, yeah, coming from you, I just want to see people reacting to this one, because when you hear one thing over and over again, probably there is a reason, right? So let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have Stoyan, who said engage with the topic. Ilya says buy my idea. Tihomira is saying take out a piece of paper and a pen. Guido says click a link. Then Siors says read more information about the topic I present about.
Okay, these are all good. The click a link, for example, that's an actual, that's something concrete. Some people said engage with the topic, which of course is what you want. You want them to engage, but I encourage you, as you're thinking about it, to make it as concrete as possible. So if you tell me I want you to engage with the topic, what does that mean? But if you say, I would like you to go to this page on my website, or I would like you to open your diary and block 30 minutes in the next 3 days when you're going to go for a walk, for example, this is something that's really concrete. But that's great that people are already thinking, what is the objective and what can I get them to do as a first step? Step 3. Step 3 of the process is all about the message. What is the one thing you want the audience to remember, even if they forget everything else? What is the one thing that underlies your entire presentation? In French, there's a wonderful expression. The French call it le fil rouge, the red thread. And in German, I believe it's die rote Faden. It's the thread, the red thread, the theme that really holds the whole presentation together. For this part of the exercise, The challenge for you is to write your entire speech or presentation in one sentence. One sentence. Now, you can start off with 2 or 3 sentences, or you can start off with a long, messy, terrible sentence. That's fine, but then shorten it, shorten it, shorten it. I tell people 12 words or less is ideal. 12 words or fewer is ideal because then it really helps you focus and crystallize the message in your mind. Sometimes the message comes easily, and sometimes it takes a lot of effort, but it is always worth doing for a few reasons. Number one, if the message is clear in your mind, there is a much greater chance that's going to be clear in the minds of your audience. Let me ask you a question, just a simple yes or no in the chat for a response. Have you ever been in the audience listening to a presenter, and at some point you've asked yourself, where's he going with this? Or what's her point? Have you had that? Have you been in that situation before? Just plop a quick yes in the chat if you have.
We'll see what the response would be here. I'm a little bit afraid of my tablet just freezing because of so many yeses at the same time. But let's see how it will go. Yes, already yes, yes, and here they are. Oh yes, yes, all the time. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, you know the answer.
I know the answer. Yes, my computer smoke is coming out of my computer now as well. So yes. And it's frustrating. It is frustrating for you as an audience member when you don't really know where it's going. So if the message is clear in your mind, there's a much better chance it's going to be clear in the minds of your audience. Second benefit is that once you have the message, then as you're thinking about bringing in data, a graph, a story, a statistic, an anecdote, whatever, all you have to do is ask yourself a question. Does it support the message? And if it does, it can stay. If it doesn't, then perhaps you leave that aside for the next time. One of my favorite quotes of all time is from Leonardo da Vinci. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And for me, good presentation design is usually a process of removal, of abstraction, as opposed to trying to add too much in. So you've got your message, then everything you want to bring in, just hold it up against that lens. Does it support the message? Third benefit, and perhaps this has been a situation that has happened to several of you. I know it's happened to me many times. You're told, we want you to come in and speak for 45 minutes, but the previous speaker goes overtime, or there's a delay, or they have a problem with one of their offices, and they say, look, I can only give you 15 minutes. Now you've lost 2/3 of your time. What do? Do you try and pack everything in 15 minutes? Not a good idea. Do you say, I can come back another time? Not a good idea usually. If they say you've got 15 minutes, you've got to go for 15 minutes. If you know what your message is, you're going to be in a much better position to respond in the moment. It is going to be easier, not necessarily easy, but definitely easier to respond in the moment if you have this message. So again, for this message, one sentence. So think about your speech or presentation, and of course, you can continue working on this after our session, but try and write your presentation or your speech right now in one sentence. And if you'd like to, you can put it in the chat. You'll make Boris very, very happy. Me too.
Yes, indeed, it will. If you want us to wait, we can wait for the responses, but if you want us to move on, we can move on. If you want me to bring up a question from the audience, I can do that too.
Yes, we're going to have a little time at the end for questions. I've definitely built that in. But if anybody has a question along the way, they're more than welcome to put it in.
Yeah, while we are waiting for the answers to arrive, probably you can answer very, very shortly the question because there was a question from someone in the chat like 5 or 10 minutes ago. How did you prepare for this audience?
How did I prepare for this audience?
Yep.
So I knew how much time I had. I thought deeply about what I could share of value in the time that I had. I talked with you, Boris, months ago. We talked about this idea. I looked again at the time and thought, these are the 4 steps. The 4 steps in my process don't change. This is what I've always done. It's a question about adapting how much I say about each one in the moment. As well, technologically, checking the equipment yesterday, a few days ago, making sure everything was right, and also looking at what the other speakers are talking about in the event. Because if you're ever speaking at an event, it's good to know what everyone else is talking about, because then you can see how your presentation fits in.
Yep. And by the way, I confirm all of the things that you said. We definitely went through numerous rehearsals and checks. And yeah, just to give you some answers here very quickly, Alvaro says automations make life easier. Makes lives easier.
Oh. Automation makes life easier. 4 words. You're a champ, Alvaro. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, there is one more. For example, there is a question from Nives. Can we start with a question? But that I believe is a question by itself, maybe. But let's go to the other answer from Asen, who says, "Stop overheating, overreacting. Oh, probably it's overreacting. Stop overreacting and enjoy a better life."
Okay, stop overreacting, enjoy a better life. Excellent. The question about, can you start a presentation with a question? Absolutely. That is one. We're not talking about presentation structure in this session, but starting with a question is a very powerful way to begin a presentation. It's one of the ways you can do it. So these are great. The examples we heard are great. Automation makes life easier. That's 4 words. And of course, there is a whole lot more to know about what Alvaro is going to share. It's automation. It's a very technical topic. There are books and books and pages written. And Alvaro is going to have to tell us more. But this is his guiding post, his red thread that helps him then build out this presentation to talk about perhaps 3 ways how it makes life easier, or 3 reasons why you should adopt it. This is the importance of having this message. So we now have the landscape surveyed, we have our objective, we have our message. The 4th and final step of the process is in many ways the other side of the message. You now have your message. It's clear. It's a beautiful sentence. It's perfect. So what? What is the relevance for the audience? Or to be more blunt about it, why should they care? Why should the audience care? This is a hard truth about public speaking. I don't know most of the people here. I don't know you at all. But I bet I know a few things about you. You're intelligent, you're motivated, you're hardworking, you're willing to invest in yourself. You wouldn't be at the Present to Succeed conference if you weren't these things. But the thing is, it's not about you. It's not about you, your big idea, your company, your organization, your product, your service. It's not about any of those things. In 2019, I had the real privilege to go work in Senegal with 35 officials from different UN organizations doing amazing work in very difficult circumstances throughout Africa. And I told them, it's not even about the people you are trying to help. Of course, I got these looks saying, how can you say it's not about those people? It's not. Every speech, every presentation is about the audience. First, last, always. Now, does that mean I don't want to help those people? I don't want to do a good job, sell my product, get a recommendation, get a new client, get a promotion? Of course not. I want all of these things as much as anybody. But here's the promise I make to you today. When you start going into any speaking situation and you ask yourself, how can I make this time valuable for the audience? This time that the audience will never get back. How can I make it worth their while? You go in with that attitude. Then all these things you want for yourself, for others, they just start coming. I've lived this. I've seen it. It just happens. I've had the real privilege to speak now in 27 countries on 5 continents. And I don't care the demographics, the culture, the background, whatever. Audiences are universally smart. They can tell very quickly when the speaker is really there for them or just going through the motions, giving the speech, getting the check, ticking the box, moving on. They just know. So it's always about the audience. So you've got a message that's relevant for the audience, great. But for it to be relevant, there has to be at least one reason. At least one reason. If you can't think of at least one reason why the audience should care, you've got a problem. You've got a problem. Either you're giving the wrong speech or you're speaking to the wrong audience. So you've got to come up with at least one reason why the audience should care. And just one more thing about this idea about being there for the audience. There's a calculation I always do whenever I give a speech or presentation. I multiply the time that I'm given by the number of people whom I anticipate are in the audience. Now here, I don't know how many people are here. Maybe it's just Boris, me, and Alvaro. I don't know, and a couple of others. But to take an example, if you are given 1 hour, you're giving a 1 hour keynote to an audience of say, 100 people. It's not 1 hour of time. It's an hour of his time, and an hour of her time, and an hour of her time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's 100 hours of time. If this were one person, that would be like 2.5 work weeks full time. That's a very valuable commodity, and I want to treat it with the respect that it deserves. So, coming back to your speech or presentation, what is the relevance of your message for the audience? Come up with at least one reason why they should care about the message.
All right.
By the way, if you have
go ahead.
If you have 2 or 3 reasons, the more, that's fine. If you've got 5 reasons, fantastic, but you need at least one.
By the way, John, let's answer very quickly one from Ekaterina, who is from Empower, one of our sponsors. She's asking, is a message sentence the same as an elevator pitch, or is there a difference? Let's quickly answer that one.
I think it's similar, but it's different. The sentence is even shorter than the elevator pitch. You can certainly have the sentence in an elevator pitch, but for me, the sentence is more for me as the speaker, as I'm preparing. It's like my talisman, my guide, my guiding light. I always come back to this sentence as I'm working on the presentation. It makes me sure that I'm heading in the right direction. You might say this sentence in your presentation. For example, Alvaro might easily say, automation makes life easier. He might say that in the presentation, but he doesn't necessarily have to, as long as the audience gets it.
Yeah, and Alvaro, by the way, already replied, invest 10 hours and save 200. He is very active here.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'll look forward to chatting with you in the meet and greet later, Alvaro.
Absolutely, there are some questions coming up. Maria answered to your question, by the way, answered money and quotes make your life easier. That is also a reply in the chat. But the other things that are arriving now currently in the chat window are questions for you that you can probably follow up after the session.
Excellent. Well, this is perfect timing because ever since I've been in Switzerland, I'm very fixated on Swiss timing. So by my watch, we've got about 6 minutes or so. What I'd like to do is just summarize the 4 steps. open the floor for questions, and then I'd like to conclude with just a 1 minute or 90-second remark. So to summarize, in summary, what you want to do is survey the landscape, speaker, subject, audience, and then thinking about the situation. Second step, you want to be really clear about your objective. What do you want the audience to do when you are finished speaking? And if it's a big request, a first step. What is a simple first step they can take, ideally right there in the auditorium where you're speaking or online when you're speaking? Third step, what is the message? What is the one thing that underlines your entire presentation? And can you get that into a single sentence? And then finally, what is the relevance of your message for the audience? You need at least one reason. Once you've done this, this is your blueprint. This is the thing that guides you as you then start to build out the presentation, to structure it, to design it. All of these other great sessions that you're going to be hearing about on Present to Succeed, all of the things that you're going to be talking about in there, you can always come back to this as your blueprint to make sure you're staying on track. So now, before I conclude, Boris, I'm happy to take a couple of the questions.
Yeah, John, there is one that I really want you to answer to, and then let's move on and go back to you. Dimitria is asking something that I believe is a very intriguing question. Good afternoon, she says. How do we get 18-year-olds to care about the message when you have to present something seemingly boring, like grammar, for example?
Dimitria, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the question. I do some work in high schools with students as well, and 18-year-olds are great. They can be challenging, but if you can get to them, then you've got a chance to make a huge impact when it comes to, them going on in their life. I think it all starts, again, this exercise about, you start by first of all thinking, how does an 18-year-old relate to this subject? Do they like it? Are they bored by it, etc.? Now, grammar, and as a lawyer, somebody who practiced law for many years in Canada before becoming a professional speaker, grammar and language is something I'm very, very passionate about. You could start by there are many different ways, but for example, you could start by acknowledging the fact that, many people think that grammar is boring. You could come at it in a somewhat counterintuitive way. They're not going to be expecting the speaker to say, yeah, grammar can be really boring, but only if you look at it in a certain way. And then you start digging deeper about why grammar is important for them, how it can lead to opportunities. Then there's also different levels of grammar. There's very high level English or whatever mother tongue you speak. And then there's the more colloquial grammar of the street. And each can be appropriate in a certain circumstance. I think for those of you who saw Florian's excellent presentation, Florian and I, dear friends for many years, many public speaking adventures and other adventures together, about stories. Do you have a story about something that your relationship with grammar, where maybe you thought it used to be boring, and so you identify with the audience, you put yourself in the same position that they are now, and then talk about what you learned. So it's a short answer with a bunch of different ideas, all of which is to say, there certainly are ways that you can connect with an audience. And I do think that this exercise will help you think about that. I hope that's helpful, and I'm happy to chat further after.
Yeah, John, we have 2 more minutes, so back to you because you wanted to finish this up.
Yes, thank you, Boris. There's a French term that cooks are very familiar with. It's called mise en place. Mise en place. Literally, it means put in place. And what this involves, the great chefs at these high 3-star Michelin restaurants, they will, before the evening serving opens, they make sure that all the vegetables are chopped and put in different dishes, that the oils and the liquids are measured out in the right quantities, that the meats are weighed and cut, that everything is laid out perfectly so that when it comes time to making the dish, they can just take the different ingredients. They are already set. This exercise is very much a mise en place for public speaking. And when the chefs do this, and when you do this with your speech and presentation, it says two things about you. It says, number one, that you are prepared, that you have done the critical thinking necessary to do a great job when you present. But the second thing it says about you is that you are a professional. You care enough about the audience. You want to respect the audience's time, so you care enough to do this exercise to make really sure that in your mind, you know exactly what you want to say, what you want the audience to do, why it's important for the audience to do it. You start approaching your speeches and presentations this way, you are going to make an impact. And on that note, I want to wish everybody here the very best of success with your speeches and presentations. Boris, back to you.
John, thank you for this one. I love the fact that we talked about fundamentals. You know, these for me are just so fundamental things in building a presentation, just absolutely fundamental. Now, a little bit of just a few notes for everyone. There is a way, again, for you to vote for this session in the Menti tab. You should be able to see that you are able to vote now. If Mentimeter is asking you to go to the next slide, please do so. You'll see John's name there. However, we have the next session that's coming up is a session that's again on storytelling, but this time from the scientific point of view, and I believe everyone will love it. However, get ready because I categorize those type of sessions as a little bit more advanced. So that one will be, it may be a little bit challenging for all of us, let's put it like that. Again, in the meantime, 15-minute break coming up. Take a look at what Canva are doing at their booth, because yet again, they are giving away their prop product for free to everyone here for not 1 month, not 2 months, but 3 months, right? And the only thing you have to do is to go to their booth and just use the promo code that's there and get it. So go to their booth and go to the other booths to claim all of those incredible things. Everyone, I'll see you in 10 to 15 minutes when we continue the conversation on storytelling. And again, just a reminder, PTS 2022, we love your comments and we would love to see what you think on social media.